स्मरामि हृदि संस्फुरदात्मतत्त्वं सच्चित्सुखं परमहं सगतिं तुरीयं यत्स्वप्नजागरसुषुप्तमवैति नित्यं तद्ब्रह्म निष्कलमहं न च भूतसङ्गः तपोभिक्षीणपापानां शान्तानां वीतरागिणां मुमुक्षूणामपेक्षोऽयम् आत्मबोधो विधीयते बोधोऽन्यसाधनेभ्यो हि साक्षान्मोक्षैकसाधनं पाकस्य वह्निवज्ञानं विना मोक्षो न सिद्ध्यति। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। Hari Om. Okay, we'll start with questions. Rashmi, you just said one question? Okay. Question from chapter 10, verse number 31. Rama always carries his bow and arrow, symbolizing alertness and readiness to fight for righteousness. So I am among Kshatriyas, I am Rama, he says. Among warriors, I am Rama. As a true Kshatriya, he uses his prowess to eradicate injustice and establish justice. My question, who is a true Kshatriya in today's day and age? What does carrying a bow and arrow signify? So he's already said carrying a bow and arrow symbolizes, carrying a bow and arrow symbolizes alertness, readiness, keeping one's weapons handy. So today's Kshatriyas are essentially anybody who is in a position of leadership and anybody who is making decisions for the collective, right? If that person is a Kshatriya, it's better, right? So one can think of a Brahmana as the highest leadership, those who are sort of the visionaries, but the day-to-day sort of operational leadership is what is meant to be fulfilled by a Kshatriya, right? In any field, it could be in a government, in politics, it could be in an organization, within a family. The leader, a parent, needs to have a Kshatriya bhav when it comes to that, standing up for establishing dharma. So Kshatriya plays the role, a Brahmana plays the role of clarifying what is dharma, and a Kshatriya plays the role of protecting that dharma, right? So in today's day and age, of course, whether you call it military leadership or political leadership or business leadership, all of these people, should be Kshatriyas, right? And they should have that Kshatriya varna in them. So carrying bows and arrows just signifies carrying things that will ensure that protection of dharma, right? Whether it is the right policy, whether it is the right measures, whether it's the right weapons, a country in this day and age should have for example, our country, we follow a no first use policy because we want to use our weapons for protection rather than sort of annihilation or annexation of the world. But it's very important to have those weapons because when, you never know, world can change overnight like it has right now, right? So you have to be prepared, alert. Because to fight a dharma, you can't simply say, I'll turn the other cheek. A Kshatriya will not turn the other cheek. That's not the role of a Kshatriya. So that doesn't mean that a Kshatriya should jump into a war, at the drop of a hat. There should be patience. There should be negotiation. There should be diplomacy. But if we pushed into one, those bows and arrows will come handy. In fact, those bows and arrows will also keep the other person aware. Hey, this person is well equipped, right?
Family also, because this comes like country, city, community, family comes down. Family, what does that represent? Take a stand for righteousness. Or
No,
control of
see, bows and arrows could be just simply your resources. Your bank balance can be your bows and arrows. How do you fight off, you know, certain
stand
conflicts?
for your righteousness and make that to also be your.
So
Otherwise, you say
first,
family
first and all, your see, bows and arrows are not the dharma. Bows and all arrows are that which protects dharma, right? So all your resources, whether it's material resources, whether it's emotional resources, whether it's the network you have,
knowledge.
you know,
It's symbolic, I think, obviously.
yep. Okay. Next, we have a question from Archana ji. Archana ji, you here?
Yes, I'm here, Utsaji.
Okay, Hari Om. So I'm sure those in the group have read this long question. I'm going to jump to what are the actual questions, right? Archana ji, if you allow me and pardon me, I will jump to the actual questions because and very pertinent questions. So, as a service to humanity, let us discuss this. Um, if you could share your thoughts on okay, you want to understand why we compare, how to be mindful when we are comparing, why it is a mindless and senseless act, how to talk ourselves out of it when we are comparing, what to think of instead. Can we switch from comparing to someone richer or better than us to comparing to someone poor and uglier than us? Can we switch from comparison to gratitude for all that we have? Is it even possible in the moment? How can we learn to understand that each of us has a different destiny and some are indeed high bonds and superior to us and many are lower than us? How to understand that the comparison should be only with ourselves? Am I a better person today than I was 5 years ago? And all of this seems far fetched and not practiced by anyone. So these are your 9 questions, correct? And some of your questions also have so I love the enthusiasm and the fervor in where it comes from, and this is, I'm sure, what all of us have felt at some point, maybe do feel in day-to-day sort of engagements with the world. Comparison, it saps our energy, it saps the life out of us, right? And you feel high when you're on the better end of the comparison, huh? But the moment you're on the other side, you sink to a sorrow. And the funny thing is that you're always in the chase. So why do we compare? The first question is, why do we compare? We compare, first of all, when will we compare? We compare when there is an otherness. We compare when there is something to compare with, isn't it? So only when there is something other than yourself will you actually compare. And otherness comes from ego. When I say ego, that sense of individuality, separate and distinct from the other, right? So that's the root of comparison. All comparison starts from that. And the individuality has a weakness. It's called narcissism. To justify itself, to look at itself in the mirror and feel that this thing is worthy, right? And so long as it is if you use Rashmiji's daughter's products, your skin will be nice and young. So you'll feel very good about yourself. And suppose there's some marks appearing, there's something appearing, So that's the root. That's the ego, where it needs to look in the mirror and feel, and what does it, how does it measure whether it's worthy? By comparison, right? And this comparison starts at a very young age. This comparison starts the moment there is the mind that develops in a child, right? And it's largely fueled by the way in which, not only the way in which we raise our children, but the way in which we are ourselves, because that's what we embody. Where there is an otherness, where there is a need to appear better, good, where there is a competition, but not for the right reasons, there will be comparison. How to be mindful of when I'm not done answering this question, I'll come back to it. How to be mindful of when we are comparing, and how to talk ourselves out of it. So, at the root of comparison lies it's an outlook on life. We have not learned how to be happy for others because of this otherness, because of this differentiation. Naturally, a competitiveness has taken over. See, suppose your tooth is aching. Suppose your tooth is aching and your body is also aching, and you're in Thailand, huh? And you go for a wonderful foot massage, and you've gone based on my recommendation, so you go to a great massage place. Okay, otherwise there are many other places you can go to and hate it. So you followed my advice and you go to a great massage place, and your foot is being pressed so beautifully. All the stress and strain, it feels like you're levitating down. Yeah, all the burden from your feet is vanished. Does your tooth complain? Your tooth is still aching, remember? Does your tooth complain, hey, why is the foot getting this treatment? Why am I not getting this treatment? Why? Because there is no otherness between the tooth and the foot. The tooth and the foot is part of one. So why do we compare? It's simply because of otherness. And from this otherness, this mindness versus yourness, it escalates, it expands. Now you may say this is not, but it's practical only. No, we are different. See, the seeds we sow in our consciousness from the very beginning, when we look at ourselves as part of a whole, when we look at ourselves as, even if we are different from each other, we are part of the same. If we find a commonality, automatically the comparison will go down. Automatically. If we learn to look a little deeper than what is just the appearance, we'll stop comparing. But we only want to judge a book by its cover. We only want to look at what is appearing. So, there is otherness, then there is superficiality. तुम इतना क्यों मुस्कुरा रहे हो, क्या गम है जिसको छुपा रहे हो? जो ज़्यादा मुस्कुराता है, जो ज़्यादा अच्छा दिखता है, शायद बहुत पीड़ा है उसके अंदर. शायद, not always. So that's a lesson either you learn through experiences in life or through a sensitivity, right? And sometimes we learn it very late. It's not bad to aspire. It's not bad to look at someone else and aspire to be like them. That's not comparison, right? But what is the root of that aspiration? First of all, cultivate the capacity to be happy for another's joy. It's a very simple feeling. Without bringing yourself into the picture. See, what happens is we identify someone else is doing well. But immediately the ego comes in. That sense of otherness takes over. Why don't I have it also? I wish I had it. that that thought will automatically come. Okay, make it wait. Take 2 minutes to appreciate the achievement of the other. Take a moment to appreciate the blessings of another and genuinely feel happy for them. Start this as a practice. If you can't maintain it, at least sustain it for a couple of seconds, couple of minutes. Try to feel that genuine, just like the tooth genuinely feels happy for the foot. The foot is well off. And you can try to teach your children as much as you want, but unless you embody this feeling yourself, that true, genuine ability to share the joy of another. I'm not even saying you have to share the sorrow of another, share the joy of another. Not for your own benefit, for just appreciating that their mind is in a peaceful state, their mind is free from worry and agitation. We think empathy is only feeling bad for others. No, empathy is also feeling joy for others. So when we practice this empathy, automatically comparison will take a backseat. Number 2, we feel a lack. We feel we are limited. We feel we need to acquire and achieve things to be great. Men can do little before they are assured of their worth. So we're all trying to prove to ourselves what is our worth. It's like us looking into the mirror. Am I beautiful? You are God's child. What you should pursue in life, what you should achieve in life, should not come as a need for validation, should not come from a place that, okay, I need to achieve something. No, it's a potential that you need to manifest from within yourself. You are capable, you have the potential, and you are simply trying to the best of your abilities to manifest what is that potential within you. That's Karma Yoga. I have been designed to do this, let me do it to the best of my ability. When we approach our actions, when we approach any pursuit with that attitude, then we will develop a lens of learning from others rather than comparing with others. Then we'll develop a lens of appreciating what others have got and trying to see, okay, how can I emulate what they may have done? Rather than getting into a competitive spirit of trying to put them down. See what happens. Suppose someone else is achieving something. Immediately, if they're at your level, at your social level, at your economic level, your immediate tendency will be to push it down. Stop exaggerating here. It's not that great also. At least in your mind, you'll do that. And that's because you're in this rat race of trying to be greater than the other. It's a pretentiousness. Even if you're not greater, you want the world to think you are greater. It's a beautiful quality of a person of knowledge. Unpretentiousness. Adambitva. So aspiration is not a bad thing. Trying to improve yourself is not a bad thing. Trying to achieve something is not a bad thing. The attitude with which you achieve it. Bhoga is seeking the fruit of that achievement. Yoga is recognizing, this is my potential, let me express it to the best of my ability. Automatically the achievement will happen. They're two very different things. The source of the inspiration is very different. When you approach life with the spirit of yoga, this is what we have to tell ourselves, and this is what we have to tell our children. That reassurance, you are good enough. And even if you're not good enough, even if it's not apparent right now to you, you have that potential. When you have that attitude, you'll take to life like a sport. You'll take to life. Competition will not be a bad thing then. Competition will be like, two sports people competing with each other. Competition is not the problem. Our attitude in the competition is the problem. But when all of this knowledge, when all of this awareness is missing, it's missing in us, so what will we pass on to our children? When it's missing in us, we simply get into a very superficial rat race of pretentiousness, of that weakness, that narcissism, of trying to prove to ourselves our own worth because we haven't truly understood it. But when you wake up each day with a sense of awareness, first of all, of the gift of creation all around you. See, we don't appreciate what we have. This body is capable of incredible things. This mind is capable of incredible things. We don't harness it, that's a different thing. But the very fact that you're sitting, living, breathing, that itself is a gift. And we've neutralized ourselves to it. But when you carry that sense of gratitude each morning, first of all, you'll be more self-assured. You lose the need to look outwards and measure and compare. When you have that sense of oneness, when that otherness is reduced, automatically you'll feel. And secondly, as I said, judging a book by its cover, who is rich, who is poor? Don't just go by appearance. I'll give you an anecdote. We run an animal shelter, an animal foundation, and there was once he's not with us anymore, but he was like a helper, earning what, 12,000-15,000 rupees a month at that point. This was Corona time. Everybody was short of, earnings, funds, everything. Food was scarce, especially people who don't have the means. This person was feeding two homeless people. Taking a good chunk of whatever he's earning on a daily basis and feeding to people. How rich is he? You may have Satvario marble clad on your, throughout your bathroom, throughout your house, how many 1,000 rupees per square feet. But that's not a sign of richness or poverty. So when you look beyond the surface and when you develop an ability to go deeper, not just at a physical or a material level, what is the emotional depth in a person? What is the intellectual gravity in a person? What is that spiritual growth in a person? When you look beyond the surface, then you'll redefine what is richness, what is poverty. Right? So all of these things, ultimately it is jnanam. It is knowledge of all of these things. It is this awareness that you carry with you. And it starts with a sense of reassurance. A sense of awareness of this gift which has been given to you. Your body, your mind, your intellect. It's not something to arrogate and place, I said last time, right? When you look at a beautiful painting, what do you think of? So think of that creator that has made this beautiful creation. This creation is not you, it's not yours. Right? So, if things are going well for you, there's no need to put yourself in a high horse. This great Adi Shankaracharya says, Ma kuru dhanajana yauvana garvam harati nimeshat kala sarvam. What are you comparing? Tomorrow all of it. Strait of Hormuz will be closed, your share price will be down 30%, 40%. All your margins will be called. You'll have a struggle paying back your loans. This can happen. Empires collapse. So life can literally drag the rug from under your feet. There's no need to have pride. And that's the quality of a jnani. Amanitvam adambitvam. Humility and unpretentiousness. Because they approach life as a gift, as an opportunity to manifest that potential which is in them, not looking for praise or censure. They take to life like a sport, like a game. When you have this attitude and when you cultivate this attitude in your children, to look deep, to learn, all of this will help in diminishing that mind's tendency to compare. In the absence of all of this, the easiest thing to do is, what about me? मेरा क्या? मेरे पास क्यों नहीं है? But before we can pass it to our children, we need to embody it ourselves. We need to be assured of our own wealth, not just material wealth, but spiritual wealth. You are Amritasya Putra. No matter what your bank balance is, you're God's child. Nothing more, nothing less. Everyone is God's child, so they can't be more than you or less than you. Does that answer all your questions, or is there any of them that have not been answered?
It does answer, but I will only be reassured when I can try and apply it first on myself, and then I don't know how to deal with it with the young ones.
Yeah.
How am I going to explain this to the younger one?
You will be able to convey something only when you embody it yourself, right? And the way to embody yourself is Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. You are doing Shravana right now. Manan karo, Manthan karo. That's Samudra Manthan, right?
No, so with that little knowledge that we gain every day, and with a little bit of practice, maybe today we've reached a stage where we are not comparing that much, but it does come on every now and then, because when you've attended a class or a lecture, all those positive thoughts remain with you for those couple of hours, and then you're back to square one.
When it remains at a level of Shravana, you'll be back to square one. When you bring it to the depth of Manana, Manan, reflection, it is bound to transform. There's no doubt about that. See, don't be too hard on yourself. You can't. A way of thinking you've carried for decades cannot be changed entirely overnight. Not even in 1 year. Not even in 2 years. Not even in. If you have a certain depth to your practice, and when I say depth to the practice, I mean how much manan are you putting in? Are you churning these thoughts in your mind? Are you reflecting? Are you writing? Are you questioning? Are you reasoning? Are you clarifying? Are you experimenting? All of this is manan. It's bound to influence you. Otherwise, the Jnana Marga would not be a Marga only. Otherwise, this wouldn't be a step on the journey. But little by little, you transform, you change.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
So how do we dissolve the ego? You just said in the beginning, we have to dissolve the ego.
Fame is but a slow decay. Pleasures come but not to stay. Even this shall pass away. You repeat that to yourself, the ego will automatically dissolve. What are you but a blip in this vast cosmos?
Could you
The-
just
Sorry. Let me complete 1 second. So, this is the entire sadhana. The entire sadhana is a shift of identity of the ahamkara identifying with the sharira to the ahamkara identifying with the atman. That's the entire journey. That's the dissolution of the ego. Atma Jnana. This is dissolution of ego. Karma Yoga, this is dissolution of ego. So, pile driving knowledge, reinforcing karma, Karma Yoga, and cultivating bhakti. I have no new answers for you. I have no new answers. I'm not going to bring out a jadoo ki chhadi from somewhere and say, Tathastu. I'm not Harry Potter. This is the prescription that has been given to us. The medicines that have been prescribed to us. Karma, bhakti, jnana. Karma, bhakti, jnana. Karma, bhakti, jnana. That's it. If I can be foolish enough to claim, it works. It works. It works like magic. But you have to put in the effort. Simply sitting back and having a cup of tea in the morning and listening to a lecture will not be sufficient. ज्ञान मार्ग में उतरना है तो आपको मनन करना पड़ेगा. श्रवण से कुछ नहीं होगा. सिर्फ श्रवण से कुछ नहीं होगा. Okay, we'll continue. We have to complete 8 verses today. Let's do it. Verse number 33, right? Okay. Aksharanam dvandvasamassikasya cha ahamevakshakalo kalah dhataham vishvato mukham. I am a of letters, aksharanam, akarah. I am a of letters. I am the dvandva of all compounds. I am the everlasting time. I am the supporter facing all directions. So among letters, I am the very source, the very beginning. I am a. I am that from which it all springs forth. Of all compounds, I am dvandva. When he's saying compounds, if you know Sanskrit, he's talking about methods of when two words are combined, it becomes a compound word, right? Correct. So there are various. So based on the word and the pronunciation, like when the first word is emphasized or the second word is emphasized, or it is some kind of a flow. So there are various sort of classifications of the kinds of compounds, and he's saying among them I am dvandva. Dvandva is a compound word in which both are equally emphasized. right? So he's just saying, I'm the most elegant of all the compounds. That's all, right? I am the everlasting time. I am that infinite time. When you think of time and its prowess, when you think of that infinitude of time, remember it's just an expression of me. I am the supporter facing all directions. Dhataham Vishvato Mukham. What is that Narasimha mantra? Ugram Viram Mahavishnum. Ugram Viram Mahavishnum. Jvalantam Sarvato Mukham. Narasimham Bhishanam Bhadram Mrityor Muktir Namamyaham. So when we invoke Lord Narasimha, he is Sarvato Mukham. He is in the pillar and he'll come out and he'll destroy adharma when it needs to be destroyed. So I am that supporter facing all directions. I am that all-pervading Lord. Facing all directions means all-pervading. That which extends in all directions. We've also studied previously on this concept. And he continues, verse number 34. Mrityu sarvahara chaham udbhavascha bhavisyatam kirti shrirvakcha narinam smritir medha dhritikshama. I am the all-devouring death and birth of future beings. Of the feminine, I am Kirti, Shri, Vak, Smriti, Medha, Dhriti, and Shama. So, first he says, I am the all-devouring death and birth of future beings. So, by now, all of you know that in this culture we talk about a cycle of birth and death. This birth is not your beginning, this death is not your end. Before this birth, you had many, many, many births. After this death, if you continue like this, you will have many, many more births. But if you listen to Vedanta, there's a chance that you will conclude it quickly. But this cycle of birth and death is supported by the chain of karma. And this karma is unrelenting. And who is that karma phala dada? Who is that which is behind karma? It is the Lord, Ishvara. So in that sense, I am that Ishvara managing that devouring death, the process of death, and ensuring the birth of future beings based on the cycle of karma. So I am that which is upholding karma. I am that which is upholding this process of incarnation and reincarnation. And among the feminine, I am Kirti, Shri, Vak, Smriti, Medha, Dhriti, and Shama. So, of all the Prajapatis, and there were several Prajapatis, there was Daksha Prajapati and there was Brihu who was a Prajapati. So, all these sort of feminine, you can call them deities or entities, they were all born from these Prajapatis, and each of them have a symbolism, each of them represents something. That's why they're named something. Although we name our children behind this, right? We call them Kshama, we call them Smriti, we call them Kirti, but this is what they mean: fame, memory, intelligence, firmness, forgiveness. All of these are the great granddaughters of the Prajapatis. Prajapatis were the mind-born sons of Brahma who then were responsible for propagating this world. So all these deities represent a great grand virtue, right? As you can see, fame. Anybody who doesn't like fame is lying. Fame is not something to, when the ego arrogates fame, that's the problem. But fame in itself, especially when something is worthy of having fame. Fame is one of the bhagas, essentially, one which is all famous, right? It's an attribute of Bhagavan. Smriti, sharp memory, that capacity to remember, that clarity to recall, intelligence, that depth, that insight, firmness, dhriti, Kshama, again a beautiful quality. Whether you see it in all the qualities of a jnani, a bhakta, a divine person, Kshama is always mentioned. Of course, Shri, prosperity, Lakshmi herself. And speech, Vak, that capacity to express, to articulate, to translate one's experience. It's not easy. How do you express? It's a real skill. So it's a virtue, right? How do you take a subtle idea and express it? How do you like Durandar 2? It was beautiful, beautiful. It was wonderful. It was powerful. We just jump around these 4-5 words. And then someone picks up a fancy word and it was insightful. When we want to express anything, Dhurandhar 2 is a bad example. It's just very not that deep, insightful thing. But if we want to express anything, we just jump around these 4 words. I know my mother will kill me, but she always says, beautiful. As if stressing on that word will express it more. Beautiful. Fab, fab. How to express your emotions, how to express your feelings about something, how to express something subtle, a deep concept. That Vak is a skill, it's a virtue. How to look at things from all directions, right? Especially if you want to be a teacher. And we are all teachers, not just sitting on the seat. You are as parents, you are teachers. As friends, you are teachers. How to express is a virtue that comes out of critical thinking, it comes out of a deep knowledge, right? So, Vak is a daughter of Prajapati, right? It's a wonderful aspect of creation. It's a virtue. So he says, I am all these virtues, right? I am Kirti, Shri, Vak, Smriti, Meda, Dhriti, and Kshama. See, please go back to my analogy of the painting and the painter. When someone has a virtue, the ego tends to arrogate. Oh, it's my virtue. He's saying, no, it's me. The Lord is saying, no, that's me. So the next time you see beauty in a person, or you see beauty in yourself, don't arrogate it. Remember, I am just a vessel in which the Lord is manifesting. That's the idea of the vibhutis. Suppose I have an ability to express ideas. Either my ego can say, I am so great, I have this subtle capability that nobody else has. I can compare with others and say, I am better than others. Or I can say, this is just the Lord manifesting through me. It's a totally different way of looking at yourself, looking at others. It's a paradigm shift, right? So he says, I am Kirti, Shri, Vak, Smriti, Meda, Dhriti, and Kshama. And these are all identified as feminine virtues because they are daughters of Prajapati, as opposed to sons of Prajapati, right? And he continues, verse number 35. Brihad Sama Tatha Samnam Gayatri Chanda Samaham Masa Nam Marga Shirshoham Ritunam Kusumakaraha. Also among the Sama hymns, I am Brihat Sama, I am the Gayatri of meters, I am Marga Shirsha of months, and among seasons, I am the flowery season. Kusumakara, the flowery season of all seasons. So, of all hymns in the Sama Veda, I am Brihat Sama. Again, chances are we have never heard of this. What is the Brihat Sama? But among those who have knowledge of the Sama Veda, it's considered one of the most elegant and most beautiful compositions in the Sama Veda. So again, something which may have been relevant to Arjuna is not to all of us because we have lost touch with that content of the Vedas. But idea is I am the most glorious among everything. So I am the Brihat Sama of Sama hymns. I am the Gayatri of meters. So Gayatri is, of course, the Gayatri mantra is one of the oldest and one of the most profound mantras, which I'm sure all of us chant in our houses. I remember before I knew anything about anything, my parents were like, once you wake up, first thing you chant Gayatri. Before you sleep, last thing you chant Gayatri. So its place in our, and it's an extremely insightful mantra. When you would read it, it's actually an offering to Savitr, the sun, symbolizing light, wisdom, knowledge, intellect. So, seeking that depth of buddhi to discover the truth, discover the unknown. That's the chant of the Gayatri. Right? So, if you all have the book Symbolism of Gods and Rituals by Swamiji, he has a section on the Gayatri Mantra where he explains it beautifully. So I would urge you all to look at that. Of months, I am Marga Shirsha. So again, in Vedic times, it was considered a very auspicious month, a new year, a beginning of the year. So I am that very start, I am that very source. I am the Marga Shirsha of months. And of all seasons, I am the flowery season, where all flowers bloom, there's a freshness in the air, there's a new hope after a long and difficult winter. I am that blossoming of the season. I am the flowery season. And he continues. Dyutam chalayatam tejas tejasvinamaham jayosmi vyavasayosmi sattvam sattvavattamaham. Of the fraudulent I am gambling, I am splendor of the splendid, I am victory, I am determination, I am sattva of the sattvic. So very interestingly he says, of the fraudulent I am gambling, chalayatam, of the fraudulent, jo chal se, without having earned it, through deceit, I am gambling. And the reason he identifies with gambling is, it's worth thinking about. What is gambling? What lies at the heart of gambling?
Risk taking. Gambling is like being a thief.
Not necessarily cheating. It can be a skill.
Stealing. You want to earn.
Especially if you know how to count cards, it can be a skill.
Risk taking aptitude or courage.
Easy money to get.
Easy, quick. And look, not just easy and quick. What else?
It's a high, getting a high.
Huh?
Getting a high.
Getting a high. Okay.
It's about winning and losing.
No effort.
Risk
Gambling is
taking
like-
ability.
No effort. That's the spirit
trying
of
to
a
make
gambler.
money without.
That's the spirit of a gambler. The spirit of a
Making
gambler
money
is
quickly.
no effort, I gain. Right? That doesn't mean that intelligent work shouldn't be done. That doesn't mean that you should toil and not know. Efficiency is not something that is, ridiculed out here. Smart work is very good, and no matter what kind of skill you bring to gambling, the underlying intent is what? मेरी लॉटरी लग जाए.
Also, the
So more
courage to
than,
take risk.
sorry?
The risk taking, courage, say it, or the yeah, the everybody wouldn't want to take the risk also. So
Fair enough. And look,
feeble-hearted.
all of these things are not what is perhaps fraudulent about gambling. All of these things may be virtues of gambling. Huh? Willing to take risk, being calculative, right? Being intelligent, trying to bring. But the underlying hope at the heart of gambling is may
Quick
I
money.
may I get without putting in the effort.
Putting in effort.
And that is the core rot. Because
Easy
that's
money.
what makes people stay 24/7 in a casino. Casinos don't close, you know that? 24/7.
So there's a line in the book, a gambler's attitude is to gain wealth without earning it. No effort.
Correct.
Quick money.
So when you go to chapter 3,
Using any
without
means, good or bad.
he who eats without producing is verily a thief.
Safe.
Right? So this idea of eating but not producing. If you have that idea, even if you're outside the casino, you're trying to. That's the problem. That's what is fraudulent about gambling, right? And that's at the heart of gambling. That's why he says, of all frauds, that's the problem. That's why he says, I am gambling of the fraudulent. I'm trying to escape that effort. I am splendor of the splendid, at the very heart of what is beautiful, splendor, glorious, splendid. I am that splendor. I am victory. I am determination. I am that goal. I am also the path towards the goal. I am sattva of the sattvic. The very essence of a sattvic person is sattva. So the most foolish thing you can do is turn arrogant about your sattva. He says, I am that sattvic, I'm the sattva in you. And that sattva that makes you sattvic. And he continues. Verse number 37. Vrishinam vasudevosmi Pandavanam dhananjaya Muninamapyaham vyasaha Kavinamushana kavihi. Of the Vrishnis I am Vasudeva. Of Pandavas I am Dhananjaya. Of sages I am Vyasa. Of seers I am Ushna. Who is Vasudeva?
His father.
Krishna's father.
Oh, Krishna's father is Vasudeva. Vasudeva is of Vasudeva, which means Vasudeva is the son of Vasudeva. Who is the son of Vasudeva?
Krishna.
himself.
Krishna.
Of all Vrishnis, the clan of Vrishnis, I am Vasudeva. Krishna is saying, I am Krishna. Which means it's not Krishna who's saying it. Right? Krishna identifying as Brahman is saying that objectivity of all the Vrishnis, I am the greatest. Is there a doubt about that? I am Vasudeva of Vrishnis. Of Pandavas, I am Dhananjaya. He's not trying to entice Arjuna's ego. He's saying, you are the most glorious of all Pandavas. Right? That's why Arjuna also received the Bhagavad Gita. He was the most balanced among everyone. So of all Pandavas, I am the great glorious Dhananjaya. Of all sages, imagine who's writing the Mahabharata? Vyasa. Of all sages, I am Vyasa. There's a debate, and a worthy debate. Was Vyasa a person, a single person, or is it a lineage? Is it a lineage? And chances are, unless, of course, it's possible that these great souls live for hundreds of years. But if we think in our capacity, how can one how can one do so much, right? But essentially, Vyasa is one who compiles and disseminates knowledge. Right? Vyasa is the teacher. Of all sages, I am that lineage of Vyasa, the teacher, who actually ensures that continuity to knowledge. Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe, Pullar Vindayata Patra Netra. Salutations to that great Vyasa, that giant intellect. How many scriptures came from Vyasa? We're all indebted to Vyasa for his contributions. On one hand, there's the Mahabharata, then there is the Bhagavatam, there are the Brahma Sutras, the great aphorisms of the Brahma Sutras. Inconceivable knowledge, Vishala Buddhi, inconceivable intellect. And of seers, I am Ushna. Ushna is Shukracharya. Shukracharya is the guru of the Asuras. So of all seers is one who has a deep insight, who has a capability to see change, to see deeply into the nature of things, one that is strategic. And naturally, if you want to be the guru of an entire race, you have to have that deep capacity, right? So of all seers, I am the great Shukracharya. Again, Shukracharya was from the lineage of Bhrigu. So whether it's Shukracharya, even Jamadagni, Lord Parshuram was from the lineage of sage Bhrigu. So Shukracharya is in that lineage of great seers. So when you think of seers, what is the Brihu Samhita? The Brihu Samhita is that which has foretold the future with a deep insight into the nature of the world, right? So among seers, I am the great Shukracharya. We'll take a few more minutes. Just stay with me because I want to complete the next couple of verses of this chapter. Dando dayamatam nitirasmi jigishitam maunam chaivasmi guhyanam jnanam jnanavatamaham. I am the scepter of rulers, I am righteousness of those who seek victory, I am silence of secrets, I am the knowledge of knowers. So of rulers, I am their scepter. The scepter is that staff which a king would have. Back in the day, a king would have a staff which they would, you'll see them sit on their throne with the staff in their hand. That's the scepter. So I am the scepter of the rulers because that scepter represents their might, their position. A king without his scepter is not a king. And a crown doesn't a crown is just something that is placed on their head to glorify them. But what actually give them power is this scepter. So that scepter which reestablishes that power and instills in others a sense of obeisance. So I am that scepter of rulers. What makes them rulers? I am righteousness of those who seek victory. This is a beautiful one. If you seek true victory, if you seek a true conquest in life, you have to be on the path of the right. Unrighteousness will have many small victories. Unrighteousness can make you feel high in life for bits and pieces, but it will catch up with you. No selfish person is happy. No unselfish person is unhappy. Selfishness, egoism may give you a temporary kick. And chances are most selfish and egoistic people will be like, all this knowledge is useless, it's just. But if you seek true victory in life, if you seek true growth in life, standing on the path of dharma is essential. So I am righteousness of those who seek victory. At the very heart of victory lies dharma. So I am that dharma. Of secrets, I am silence. What makes a secret is the silence which holds it. So I am the silence of secrets. Of knowers, I am the knowledge. That knowledge which enlightens a knower. I am that underlying knowledge. So all these symbolisms, either reflecting the grandeur, the greatness, the power, or the essence, right? This is the theme of all the vibhutis. And he continues. Yacchapi sarvabhutanam bijam tadaham arjuna na tadasti vina yasyat maya bhutam characharam. And also I am that which is the seed of all beings. There is no being moving or unmoving which can exist without me. So he started with Aham Atma Gudakesha and he's concluding with something similar. I am that Bijam Avyaya. I am that permanent seed. I am that seed of all beings. I am that very source. I am that supporter from which everything emerges. Without me, nothing, moving or unmoving, animate or inanimate, living or not living. Nothing can exist without me because I am that source from which everything emerges. I am that supporter which sustains everything. Aham Atma Gudakesha. I am that Atman enlivening all beings. And he concludes in a similar note to reiterate that essential message. Beyond the body, beyond the mind, beyond the intellect. I am that Atma. I am that rope underlying the snake. I am the truth underlying this Maya. And he concludes. We'll chant verse number 40, 41, 42 together. And Rituji, just follow on 2 minutes to your question. Nantosti mama divyanam vibhutinam parantapa eshatu deshatah proktah vibhute vistaro maya yadyad vibhuti mat sattvam shrimadarjitimeva va tattva devavagachatvam mama tejomsha sambhava अथवा बहुनैतेन किं ज्ञातेन तवार्जुन विष्टभ्याहमिदं कृत्स्नम् एकांशेन स्थितो जगत्. Then he concludes, he says, there is no end to my divine manifestations, O Parantapa. I can go on and on and on and on. I can continue with my metaphors, I can continue with my comparisons, I can continue with my elaborations. There is no end to this. This is only a brief statement. So don't be foolish enough to think, oh, this is God, or this is just God. This is just another aid for you to recognize the divinity that is splashed all around you. This is just another aid to support you to shift your identification from the ego to the Atman. This is just to support you to become spiritual and not compare. This is only a brief statement of the extent of my manifestation. Whatever is glorious, prosperous, powerful, that's the theme of what I have been describing, and know that to be just a part of my splendor. My infinite splendor, my inconceivable glory is reflected in whatever is glorious, whatever is prosperous, whatever is powerful. Ma kuru dhanajana yauvana garvam. Don't take any pride in your health, wealth, anything. Why? Because it's not yours, it's the Lord's. It is the Lord. Feel grateful for it. That either through your effort or through your luck, you have got it. Know you that only to be a manifestation of a part of my splendor means I am much beyond this. I am inconceivable. I am Uttama Purusha. Beyond the Kshara, beyond the Akshara, beyond the manifest, beyond the unmanifest, beyond the changing, beyond the unchanging, and beyond what you can conceive. But all of this is just a part of my splendor. But what is the knowledge of these details to you? How does it benefit you? If you really want to reach my essence, Stop looking outside. Having pervaded this entire universe by one fragment, I remain. Contemplate upon that. Having pervaded the entire universe by one fragment, simply an aspect of me, an ansh of me is this entire cosmos. This entire cosmos, which is ruled by Brahma and will last how many kalpas and how many pralayas, how many yugas and how many mahayugas, is just a fragment of me. You lose count of all the zeros you have to add in trying to understand the length and breadth and measure of this universe. And that is just a fragment of me. Contemplate upon that. Seek me as the infinite and the infinitesimal. I am within you, in the core of your being. I am Aham Atma Gudakesha. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate. I remain. Having manifested as this infinite universe, I remain. Contemplate upon this. These details, you can repeat them, but they are not truly helpful. In a sense that regurgitating this, memorizing these details is not, if you think, oh, this is God, yadi manyase suvedeti dabhrave vapi noonam tvam vetha brahmano rupa. If you think you have understood Brahman's rupa through this, you don't know. We'll conclude and then we'll take up questions. Yeah, we'll conclude with the mantra. Om Tat Sad Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastri Shri Krishna Arjuna Sambade Vibhuti Yogo Nama Dashamodhyayaha. And we'll chant the first verse because mantrahinam kriyahinam bhaktahinam sureshwaram. O Lord, whatever mistakes there may have been in our study, in our understanding, please forgive. We shall come back to study it. With that humility, we'll chant the first verse together. Bhuya eva mahabaho shinu me paramam vachaha yatte ham priyamanaya vakshyami hita kamyaya. Okay, we'll conclude here. Thank you for your patience. Yes, Rituji, you have a question or a thought?
Hari Om. Yes. Just a couple of things that I wanted to ask. So we've been just now you were saying that whoever the so whatever is not glorious is also the Lord. I mean, the Lord is talking about his how glorious he is, or the glorious element in everything, etc., etc. But the everything that is not glorious is also him. Is that right?
Sure.
Yes.
So, look, the reason of the Vibhuti, please come back to the question of Arjuna. How should I meditate upon you? How should I think about you? Do you think about what is not glorious?
Hmm.
Does your mind go to what is not glorious? Do you ever think about the Ugandan cricket team? Do you think about it? You think about the Indian cricket team or the Australian cricket team because they are glorious. So your thought goes towards what is glorious. He's saying, that is me. So when you think of the glorious, you'll think of me. You'll be reminded of me. So when he's saying whatever is glorious, whatever is prosperous, he's not saying that, oh, I am not the unglorious. I am not the not prosperous. He's simply saying, because your mind goes to glory, your mind goes to prosperity, your mind goes to beauty, see me in that. So the negation is not, the converse is not true. He's simply saying, because your mind goes there, think of me as that. Don't arrogate that glory to yourself. Don't arrogate the beauty to yourself or to that other, whoever you see beauty in. Remember, that's God manifesting in them. See, Archana ji, are you still here? If you see beauty in another, you have two options. Either think about why is that not in me, or see, oh, I'm seeing God manifesting in the other. Different way of looking at it. It's an it's a totally different way.
Yep.
And then you'll recognize if I bring about that potential in me, that's what God is waiting for, to manifest in me through my own tapas. So it's a totally different way of looking at the world. Yes.
Yeah. So, seers, like you mentioned, what would be a equivalent word in Hindi for that? Seers.
Jnani, Doordarshi,
Okay.
one who has a insight, one who has a deep capacity to interpret, extrapolate, all of these things, right? So Doordarshi is one way in which you can translate.
And the word that you use for unpretentious, you use humility and unpretentiousness. So what
Amanitvam,
is the
Adambitvam.
Adam?
Adambitvam. Wait till chapter 13.
Okay.
If you
And
can't wait, go to chapter 13, verse number 8. 8? 8.
and also this thing about see, this one thing that I wanted to ask is about the feminine element, that I'm this in the feminine. So anyway, it is again indicating that this text, I mean, does it reflect upon the society's fabric as being male dominated? Because you're talking about feminine in a sense where you're taking other things in also, like a like a category.
See, male dominated, I don't know. But as I said, the source from which this comes from is, if you were to read the Srimad Bhagavatam also, it gives a theory of creation of how this world manifested from Brahma. From Brahma first came the Kumaras, the mind-born sons, the Prajapatis, right? And then of course the Saptarishis. All of these were responsible for sort of propagating and manifesting the world, right? So the world is composed of subtle elements which then manifested into gross elements. There's a lot of symbolism in this theory of creation. So among those elements, some were attributed as masculine, some were attributed as feminine, because this dichotomy, this sort of duality is a reality of the creation, whether you want to accept it or not. Sure, everything is a spectrum, which means everything is somewhere in the every individual, whether it's a man or a woman, has some masculine qualities or some feminine qualities. But the duality of masculine and feminine is very apparent in creation and is being used as a way to describe creation. From the physical attributes also, the kind of starting with the very physical organs you have, that's a clear demarcation. Not only in humans, even in plants. Even in plants, and it's quite curious in plants, there'll be male flowers, there'll be female flowers. Flowers from which the pollen is taken, and flowers into which pollen is deposited. When I was growing vegetables, that's the first time I saw, these two flowers are different. One has that, sort of, what do you call it?
Stamen and pistil.
Yeah, and the other one has a
Stamens and
place to
pistil.
receive it. I was like, I never thought of it this way. Nobody ever took me to a biology field trip. But yes, nature also shows that everything is a spectrum, that both can coexist within an individual. right? Say, for example, a single plant has both male and female flowers. Similarly, a single individual may have masculine and feminine qualities, right? So, so it's a very fabric of the creation. S- Sorry?
Brahman and Maya.
Yeah.
Reason for the as also
No, Brahman is beyond
actually
beyond attributes, right? So there's attribute belong to creation. So when you look at these feminine attributes, I don't see how you're concluding it's a male-dominated society. In fact, these are quite incredible virtues. I would say if I have these feminine qualities, I'll feel really um, good about myself.
No,
If I have intelligence, if I have dhriti, if I have kshama, hmm?
not
uh,
like that. I meant if femininity is considered as a category, which Brahman, Shri
so is
Krishna
masculinity.
was
Say, for example,
explaining.
one can say that prowess or valor, you know, have been characterized as masculine.
But then there is no shloka which is talking about it, is what I'm saying.
Oh,
It's not mentioned that amongst the masculine, I'm this. You know what I mean? That way.
oh,
So that
Rituji,
is my question. I
oh,
mean,
Rituji, there is no end to my divine manifestations. This is only a brief statement of me. But in the next version of the Bhagavad Gita, we'll make sure we add a verse. Uh, among the masculine, I am XYZ. No, but I get where you're coming from. Okay, why the categorization only of, um,
see,
again,
it's like, you know, I'm
why
sorry,
call
but
it
it's
out? You're
like,
asking why call it out?
I call it out.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, that's a fair question. Maybe it, you know, in a in a patriarchal society, perhaps to reiterate um, or to fight, perhaps, or to remove misconception of, say, um, the lessness of anything, you maybe have to highlight it. That's about it. But to say that this is inherently chauvinistic or in some way it is male dominated,
So
I
patriarchal
wouldn't,
would
I
mean the
would, I
same
wouldn't
thing.
jump the
I mean,
gun.
that's what I
Huh?
meant. That's what I meant, that the societal fabric, for sure, even then or whenever it was patriarchal, is what
It
I'm
was
trying to understand.
within this tradition. There were matriarchal societies. It's not one culture. Yes, you can say that. Okay, where perhaps um, the Gita Ji was composed, perhaps that is where maybe patriarchy existed out there. That's possible. It's possible.
No, because even in the beginning verses where it is when Arjun Vishad Yoga, when he's talking about what will happen to women,
Yep.
if so it just kind of reflects a couple of times.
No,
This.
absolutely. And throughout the history of humanity, I mean, in different in different social fabrics, uh, some roles have tended to be performed by men, and some roles have been tended to be performed by women. They differ, a little bit here or there, but it's, I mean, uh, one should not limit or sort of put stigma or tags or, of what a man should do or what a woman should do. But certain roles and responsibilities have been taken up by men. And I'll say this now as a husband from several years, that my wife has certain expectations out of me as a, say, a breadwinner, for example, right? Um, I'm not saying that's right or wrong, and I'm not saying that others who may not think that way is, but largely, if you look at from a proportion perspective, that's a tendency which tends to be sort of followed in society, right?
Yeah, because that's the societal fabric that's been. I mean, this again reiterates the same thing. So that's how it's been for the longest time, which means, and so
And very honestly, I mean, if you look at the nature of the world, if you want to really, enter the dogfight of the world, it requires a certain amount of ruthlessness. हम्म? बाजार में घुसना है तो आपको you know you have to be ruthless, right? Now, where does that ruthlessness come from? Is it a masculine quality? Is it a feminine quality? you know in what proportion, who is capable of what? So I again, we'll reiterate, every man and every woman has both masculine and feminine qualities, and based on their temperament they should take up roles and responsibilities accordingly,
yes.
right? We are living in a world where more than ever before one has a freedom to choose and a capacity to explore, right? But that doesn't take away from the very tendencies themselves. Those tendencies are a reality, just like male and female flowers are a reality of the plant, right? So as a, if you're born a woman and you're designated a woman simply because of certain genital organs that you have at birth, but you may have many masculine qualities, and the world is more than ever giving you an opportunity to express yourself fully. So by all means,
So
but that shouldn't make us look back and say, okay, that society or that world was maybe limited in any way. Maybe that was the reality that existed that time, which may be hard for us to understand. Okay, why did certain social beliefs exist at that point, or what were the limitations of that society at that point, right? And that honestly doesn't serve us on our spiritual
So,
journey.
just a final thing. Can it be like that was the time, you know? So how it is evolution? Whatever said and done, the fabric then, when war, see war. I mean, it's quite a mockery that we have a war in our faces even today. But back then, the physical prowess, like fighting man to man, standing in front of each other, the that kind of a war, or so that was the reality of the society then. But I'm sure things change
That's the
with
reality of the
time.
society today. Who's fighting the war?
Unfortunately,
Disproportionately, men are at the battlefield. Let's be honest about it.
true, true
No,
that. So
sure there are
again,
many brave women at the forefront, but if you have to talk proportion, you know, who's I mean, there are certain roles and responsibilities in society which are taken up disproportionately by men. Right? Not That's not to glorify one and to diminish the other, but things that require a certain level of physical strength are disproportionately taken up by men. You know, if you have to work in an oil rig, you know, or you have to be sailing. I'm not saying they're not women sailors, but who like working in the engineering of a ship. But let's look at the proportions, right? So certain, anyway. But I'm digressing now. It's not a. It's not. Yes,
I
Richaji.
just want, yeah, I wanted to add something. The very fact that our gods are conceived as men, matlab, even Lord Krishna is in the form of a man's body. So he that's why maybe he said that like I'm also present in the feminine and in the women. And see, all this is our conception only, na? When the gods also
अभी
the
नवरात्रि चल रही है.
yeah.
अभी नवरात्रि चल रही
But
है.
the Gita is spoken by the Krishna, na?
अब
He's in the
ठीक है
form
तो
of a male body.
आप 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 कुछ और पढ़ लेते. It is not relevant.
So I think that's why he would have said that I am also present in the feminine. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. But for all the shortcomings of this culture, at least chauvinism is not one of its is not one of its critiques, right? We are in the middle of Navratri and the Devi is considered supreme. Durga is Brahman. Durga is a manifestation of Brahman. There you go. And all the Navadurgas are an aspect of that Brahman. What else do we want? Now, unfortunately, I have not read many Shakta texts and I can't sit and teach it, but I'm sure that if I come across it, it'll be very similar to what is being taught out here, right? So yeah. Anyway, we'll conclude with
Thank
that.
you so much.
We'll see
Sir,
you
can you just chant the first pada of 41st verse?
41st. Yadyad vibhuta mat satvam Shrimad Urjitameva Va. Yeah, that's the first line. Yadyad vibhuta mat satvam Shrimad Urjitameva Va.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Hari Om.